It's very good to be able to welcome you here to St Peter Mancroft Church in the heart of Norwich. My name's Edward Carter. On the Wednesday, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we have a live-streamed reflection just for a few minutes for anyone who happens to be here in the church, but also, as I say, it's live-streamed. So if you're joining us on YouTube, then lovely to welcome you as well. If you're here in the church enjoying a visit, do carry on looking around. Indeed, if you're here for the original Norwich Christmas card, charity Christmas card shop, then that's wonderful. Do enjoy browsing at the cards and making your selection there. Do just carry on. But I did want to reflect for a few minutes. I wanted to describe something that happened here 10 days ago now. It was a Sunday, and the 6th of October, we were having our Harvest Thanksgiving morning, and we had the Bishop of Norwich here, visiting to take the service and to preach. And we'd invited him because we wanted him also to dedicate, to bless our new solar panels and other parts of our eco project, air source heat pumps and batteries and new lights as well. But we particularly wanted him to see the solar panels up on the South Aisle roof. So we took him up onto the roof and something unexpected happened. The police arrived at the church. An alarm had gone off, or they'd had a report of youths up on the roof, up to no good. And so the police arrived, and they were told at the door that everything was fine. It was just the bishop and the vicar and someone from BBC Look East and the head verger. So it was a very proper group to be up on the roof looking at the new solar panels. So the police were happy, they went away. Anyway, those of us here that morning had a bit of a chuckle and said, what fun. But because the BBC were here, it got onto their local news story. And when it got onto their local news story, it got onto their national news feed for the BBC. And then it was picked up by other people as well, newspapers and international media organisations. It became a story. Bishop mistaken for youth, up to no good on church roof. And Bishop Graham of Norwich did a particular interview on Radio 2 explaining actually about the solar panels, but also explaining about there is an issue with lead on church roofs and other buildings and how sometimes it's very sadly stolen. So he explained it as a real issue and how we do need to be very attentive, and indeed we value the police help in preventing crime like that from happening. None of this had been planned at all. We did want to tell the story of our new solar panels, and we had advised the BBC of this, but we certainly hadn't planned for an exciting and wonderful story all to do with Bishop mistaken for youth up to no good on church roof. So we were delighted because it made the story we were pleased to tell, go much, much further. And it set me thinking about how unexpected events can actually turn out to be very important, very significant. That's an example I've just recounted to you, how an unexpected event suddenly made the news headlines in a good way. It reminded me actually of something that happened to me a number of years ago, before I was here in Norwich as the vicar here. I was in Essex at Chelmsford Cathedral, one of the clergy there. We were having, I think it was a Bible study group in the week at some point, just a small number of people. And we arrived at the room to have our meeting, and the room was already in use. There seemed to be other people there. And it turned out that there was a little welcome reception for some families who'd come from Afghanistan, and they were British Army translators with their families. The translators, as it happened, were all men, and their wives were there, some of them with children as well. And so we got talking, although it was hard to talk, but it was easy to smile and enjoy that sense of human togetherness with our new friends who'd just arrived in Chelmsford from Afghanistan. It was a wonderful encounter, but one of my colleagues, in fact, someone who had been taking part in the little Bible study group, she then got thinking, having met these lovely people from Afghanistan, And she said to me, "Oh, Edward, the wives, they don't speak any English. Their husbands, of course, were translators, they spoke English. But the wives don't speak any English. They're so far from home. What can we do to help them?" And to cut a long story short, a new charity was set up, a new piece of charitable work, which became called English for Women. And it was providing classes and support for those who'd come to England, to Chelmsford in fact, in that particular case, and who couldn't speak English but needed to learn and needed to be warmly welcomed into their new home, their new place where they were living. The project grew massively, very quickly, and there were a huge number of volunteers who helped run it, many of them close friends of mine. And the project continues to this day in a very good and amazing way, and continues to have lots of volunteers and indeed some paid staff now, and has helped a huge number of women, not just from Afghanistan, but in fact from all different parts of the world. People coming to this country to find safety, to find a welcome. So that was another unexpected event, a simple room clash booking, when two groups happened to find themselves in the same space, which could have been seen as a problem. Instead, that unexpected moment became the seed of an amazing new thing, an unexpected event which grew beautifully. As I reflected not just on Bishop on the Roof, unexpected event story, and also that experience I had in Essex, I also realised again how some of the ways in which God works, as recorded in the Bible, are also very unexpected. And some of the stories are well known. Remember Isaac with his two sons, Jacob and Esau, and in a very unexpected way, God brings it about that Jacob, who's the younger of the two sons, receives the blessing which should have been for the older son, for Esau. Caused all sorts of difficulties, could have been a disaster. But in the end, if you read the story carefully in the book of Genesis, you discover that Jacob was blessed by God through this unexpected moment. And indeed, he changed his name to Israel and gave rise to a whole nation, a people who would look to God and be God's chosen people in the Old Testament. And out of that sprang the Christian faith and the church. Another Old Testament story, King David. David, before he was a king, was the youngest of the sons. He had lots of older brothers. He was out looking after the sheep on the hill when the prophet arrived to anoint the new king. But it was David, the unexpected one, who was to be the one chosen. And in a bigger sense, the whole of the Christian faith is based on an unexpected moment, an unexpected thing, which is Jesus Christ being God with us. You see, all the big faith traditions have a strong sense of God and of God's presence in the world, but they never really say, in quite the same way as happens in the Christian faith, that God comes to dwell with us. Christmas, which we look to gradually now with the card shop open and making preparations, Christmas contains within it, at heart, an unexpected event which is God present with us, God born as an infant, laid in the manger, God with us to bless us. And I don't know about your life, but every now and again something for me comes along which is unexpected. Obviously, we plan things carefully, we have to. We make preparations week by week, even year by year. But I think probably as I reflect on some of what I've just said, I think I say to myself, keep your eyes open for those unexpected moments, when something you really weren't planning, you weren't expecting comes along. Remember how God can be part of these unexpected events, how they can be a real blessing, that chance to tell the story of the solar panels and the roof, that chance to found a whole new charitable work, English for Women, recognizing that God does work through the unexpected moments. So I hope that also perhaps resonates with you. And as you look ahead into the coming week and weeks leading up to Christmas and beyond, that you'll just keep your eyes and ears a little bit open to those unexpected moments when God does, I believe, bless us richly. Thank you so much for listening to my short reflection today on unexpected events. Every Wednesday at 1 we do have a reflection, so look forward to you joining us again next time. Thank you again.